Hi, this is Mike. I'm going to be a Dynasty video today for you. I'm going to talk about my top five players. My first player that I'm going to talk about is Travis Etienne out of Clemson, running back. He went to school for 4 years. I feel like he's a really good player coming up to draft. And the reason why is because he's really fast, electric with the ball in his hands. He wasn't that great catching the first couple years at Clemson. Then he really picked it up his last year. I think that's going to be a great asset, especially in PPR formats. He's just really fast. He has a little. I watched him throughout the years of Clemson. He reminds me of LaDainian Tomlinson a little bit, where he could. A lot of dynasty experts haven't been ranking him really high, and they're starting to fade him a little bit. I feel like he's going to be a really good player at the next level, just based on everything that I see through videos and his college production as well. The next player I'm going to talk about is Jamar Chase. I feel like him and Bateman are my top two receivers of this class. The reason why, they're just both of them are overall well-rounded players. They both catch the ball well, have good route trees. Also, both of them are, taller receivers. Also over 200 pounds, and them two receivers I think are going to be studs in the NFL. They create a lot of targets. My next player I'm going to talk about is Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. The reason why I like him is I looked at the film and he's a monster. He's about 220 to 230 pounds, 5'11". Looking at the tape. He's a bruiser, and I feel like that would translate well into the NFL. Anyone looking to upgrade at running back, whether it be Arizona or somewhere like that, that might be a good landing spot for him. I think he'll be a good player. The next player is Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. I think he's going to be an excellent player. I talked about him earlier. Him and Chase could be number ones on their teams, whoever they get drafted by, and I think they'll be really good. Um, the next player is Terrace Marshall at LSU. Another bigger receiver. I think he'll command a lot of targets at the next level. He's over 6 foot, over 200 pounds as well. The thing I like about Terrace Marshall is it seems like a lot of LSU receivers recently have been translating well to the NFL. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase is going to be an excellent receiver as well, I believe. DJ Shark, there's a ton of receivers. Landry in the past. I think he's just going to be a good receiver. I think LSU receivers are just good in general. Looking at his college production, he wasn't really that productive receiving wise, but you look at his touchdown total, and his touchdown total, 10 plus touchdowns, with limited playing time this year. And I think that will translate well to Dynasty because he's going to command a lot of targets because he's a bigger receiver and he gets in the end zone. Reminds me a lot of somebody similar to Tig Higgins, where he's a bigger body, and I think that's going to translate well to the NFL. So I think he's a 60 reception guy. He could go somewhere in his first year, maybe 800 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. I don't think that's out of reach for him. I think he's going to be a really good player, and a lot of drafts I see him going in one quarterback leagues, late first round, early second. I think he should be pushed up a little bit higher. That's just my feeling on it. Same thing with Etienne. I think he should be pushed up higher. Players I would like to fade a little bit. is Najee Harris. And the reason why I think you should fade Najee Harris a little bit more, college production was great. He's a good receiver. But in Dynasty, if you're doing Dynasty, you got to look at his age. It's 23, and I don't really like that. You might have running backs once they hit 25, they hit a wall sometimes. So you're only going to get maybe 2 good years out of them. I would rather take a chance on Javonte Williams or Etienne. Etienne's 22. You might get one more year out of Etienne as with Najee Harris. I think he's going to be a good player, but looking at it dynasty wise, I would push him down a little bit. Along with Kyle Pitts. I see Kyle Pitts going right after Jamar Chase sometimes in a lot of drafts. And I feel like Kyle Pitts, he's a great, all these guys are great players. But Kyle Pitts, he might take him a little bit longer to develop because he's a tight end. It usually takes them a couple years. I could see him coming in and maybe producing right away, but it's not a chance I'm willing to take. I'd rather have the solid pick, someone like Bateman or Marshall. And if Kyle Pitts hits, then you might be able to flip one of these guys for him if you need a tight end. So I would fade Kyle Pitts along with Najee Harris a little bit too. Also, in one quarterback leagues, I would fade Trevor Lawrence a little bit too because we have a lot of good quarterbacks coming in. Trey Lance is one guy I really like. He reminds me of Michael Vick a little bit, super fast, and that translates well in dynasty football. Super fast runner. Looking at comparing his stats to Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, his ground production, that's where it's at, especially in dynasty leagues where if you look at the dynasty setting or the fantasy settings in most leagues, a touchdown is usually worth about 4 points through the air, whereas through the ground it could be 6 points. And that dual threat quarterback, I think Trey Lance, you can get him in the mid second, maybe late second. If people start catching on to him, he might go a little bit earlier, but I think he'll be a good value in this mid second round in one quarterback leagues. Also, another guy I would fade a little bit. Hold on.